Expand your awareness on society, culture, relating the path of transformation, and live life with your soul fully aligned with God. You have arrived to the Steve Experience Podcast.
Hi everyone, and welcome to podcast 99. This is the 3rd of November 2023. This is the Steve Experience with Steve and James, also known as Steve. And on this one, I wanted to go through unveiling the Shaman within, a journey into everyone's inner healer. And I said it quite a lot over the years, but I'll say it again. I do believe that everyone is a shaman. Doesn't mean you have to go around calling yourself a shaman, but by definition, as a human being in this divine space, in this human race, you are the bridge between the divine, and it's up to you to release all of the things that are stopping you from becoming that divine instrument, or an instrument of the divine, a divine healer. And just you are healing by your very nature of being a soul. So your soul is the healing presence that the world needs, and whatever the expression that comes from your soul is healing. So some great musicians over the years that have really embodied their souls quite well. I would say Bob Marley and various others out there. Obviously Jesus is the biggest healer, wasn't known as a musician as such, more the son of God, meaning that he was closest to God in the way that he lived his life, and he was persecuted for that, as most people who are following the soul path are persecuted along the way. Some publicly, some not publicly. It's normally a battle with your own ego or your own trauma to release your own soul. So that kind of sets the context up for this podcast, because I believe that's reality. Just because some people do not see it does not mean it's not true, as is known in layers of truth, whether it's obvious or not to some. Yeah, it can be seen very clearly nowadays with yet another war, which is going on between Israel and Palestine, or Hamas. Netanyahu claiming he's pure light, telling everyone he's going into the darkness to rescue the Palestinians from Hamas. Yeah, looks like they've killed a lot of innocent people, and they just were one of the most stringent on putting people through this medical experiment in the last years, which I've been very loud at speaking about on my social media, and was banned from 6 platforms for doing so. Yes, this is a spiritual journey into being a shaman, but it's also a very one that's very grounded in reality. You just have to call out the bullshit and fight for the truth, but it doesn't have the physically fighting. It's just standing up and speaking the truth, and calling out the lies wherever you see it, calling out the absolute shite that's gone on in recent times. So yeah, I mean, you can go to thesteveexperience.com. You might have to put www.thesteveexperience.com, and you'll see the top, at the moment, as of 3rd of November 2023, the top red article on that my site there is to do with the medical experiment, and I've done a massive investigative journalist piece with what's going on over the last years, as much as I can. I've done my best there, considering all the other things I'm doing in my life. So this concept of the inner healer is present in everyone, and it's present in everyone because everyone has got a soul, even the atheists, like Ricky Gervais, who I'm a massive fan of. He's my favorite comedian, along with Carl Pilkington, his friend, and Stephen Merchant, who I met both Stephen and Carl before. I haven't met Ricky. The point is that even atheists know that there's a soul, yet they somehow discount a God amongst all of this. When for me, that doesn't really make sense, because the soul is something of the divine. It alludes to the divine. It alludes to an love, eternal feelings, and the innocence of the soul. And when you go on a journey to explore that part of you deeper, that is you, then that expression comes out, and it's usually healing. And I would say Ricky's presence on the planet is healing. His work is more unifying than most comedians out there. That's why he's so popular. And he speaks as much truth as he can. He's just missing that connection to the divine occasionally. Even he got caught up in getting in line for the medical experiment, so I guess that's where his atheism let him down. And so this inner healer is the soul, and releasing your soul and setting her free, because I sense the soul is more feminine than it is masculine, very innocent being, and I sense that the higher self is more masculine than it's feminine. You have this union with your individuated version of your higher self, which also has some kind of personality with it. I think your higher self will be stronger in one element of the 5 elements, fire, wind, etc. Mine is fire for sure. Others are water, wind, but they're the purest, the most divine version of that element. It's not corrupted in any way. That's my sense anyway of going through this process. So at the moment we're in an awakening, great awakening, and if I believe you don't start embracing this part of yourself, and if I had myself when I was 25 speaking all this stuff, I would probably freak out, but we're in a different place and a different time than we were 15 years ago when I was 25. So the planet's changed a lot in that time, and the society has different countries. There's been more crimes by the governments across the world than ever before. I mean, some people were saying that Israel even created Hamas. I don't have all the evidence on that. I haven't done all the research because I imagine it would take quite a long time to prove that. And maybe there are some militaries out there who know that information fully. We can only really hope that there's some militaries around the world that are not beholden to the governments, who are then beholden to seemingly a group of oligarchs who run certain companies and therefore can predict what is going to happen in the markets, and they manipulate the human species to buy certain products over other products, unhealthy ones normally. So once we become aware of these things, then we have to start choosing a healthier lifestyle, and therefore that becomes self-healing and lets the soul emerge. The more self-care you have, the more your soul starts to awaken. That means self-care in your thoughts, self-care in your relationships, helping others love themselves and accept themselves. If you start just nourishing that part of you first, which is what I recommend in my book. It took me about 7 years to write fully. Wrote it and published it all on my own. Didn't have any editor, no AI. It was pre-AI, so I pretty much think every book from now on is going to be written with AI. It's just how much human input is going to be in that next book. Even I'm writing my next book. My first book took, 25, maybe 30 edits of me going through it on my own, just checking for grammar stuff. I wasn't using any grammar tools or anything that would influence the writing too much. So there's probably still a couple of mistakes in there, even though I went through it 30 times on my own. Now I can use AIs to check the grammar, for example, or check if there's too much repetition of a certain word that makes it slightly more boring or repetitive. Have better flow to the writing much more quickly. What I'm essentially saying is AI, you could have a really awful first draft, and within 2-3 drafts, you can be done. So it's different times now with writing, but slightly off track, but it might be interesting to you if you're a writer. So as we go through this awakening, we're going to have to awaken our self-care first, then our emotional mastery, which comes with healing the past and finding the right modalities for you, whether it's cellular resonance, quantum healing, which I'm working with Dr. Doug Lair at the moment. You can go and visit cellularresonance.com if you're interested in what that modality can bring to you. You can learn it. Or body work, which I also recommend. Yoga has helped an awful lot of people out there once they find the right teacher and the right path for them. Not all teachers are teaching it correctly, so you have to be very careful about the teacher you find. And that goes for anything in life. You have to use discernment, you have to use your heart, you have to use your divine instruments that you have within you, your intuition, and start going by gut feeling. And if there's something off in your body, then that means no, don't go. Listen to your body, not just your ego mind. So there's a union here going on when you become a shaman. Your soul, it can be considered more of like an energy body that's around your body. I remember hearing some guy speak about being with his father when he died, and he stayed with his body. Like the rest of the family left the room because he was at home, and I think he had an illness, or they just knew he was going to go, and he was there, and he emotionally said that the moment he passed, he wasn't dad anymore. He gone. He wasn't just his body. So the soul part of us it's in and around the body. It's an energy body. It's bigger than our physical body, and is connected with the divine. And so awakening that is the most important thing that we all need to do right now. So this is why we all shamans, if that makes sense. If you have any questions about this one, then head over to www.thesteveexperience.com and go in the comments. I've got the comments open on some of those things, some of the articles and podcasts. So on this one, there will be. So check out podcast 99. And this podcast used to be pretty big, but it was called something else. And then I deleted and changed the order of things a few years ago as I kind of rebranded. So the audience for this is relatively small at the moment, so it does help a lot if you can leave a review if you're on Spotify, or I don't even think you have to write anything on Spotify. You just press 1 to 5 stars. But yeah, if you can share this with your friends if you think they might be interested, that'll be super useful. So thanks for being here, and keep on awakening your soul.
Thank you for listening. If you love this podcast, please share it with your friends and family. Much love and deep blessings to you on your journey. We can't wait to see you on the next Steve Experience podcast.